What's up guys, and welcome back to the Crossroads Carry channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Tokarev TTS12. So the main differences between this and the TTF Titan are going to be with our foregrip. The TTF Titan foregrip has M-LOK slots for you to mount a flashlight, where this one is very plain Jane, just plastic. The other big difference is kind of with this rail. They both have this 11mm dove mount rail, but the difference between the two is on the TTF Titan, there's a hole drilled right in here on the receiver because Tokarev makes an aftermarket 11mm to Picatinny mount for the Titan, so you can mount red dots and other things like that on it. And this one not having that screw hole basically in the receiver here prevents us from being able to use that same 11mm to Picatinny mount system. So
what a nuisance.
Now there are some 11mm to Picatinny mount systems on Amazon. I have yet to try any of them, so I'm sorry, I can't really help you much on that. So in that regard, I would say if you're someone that's going to be wanting to put a flashlight and a red dot and stuff like that on it, maybe the Titan would be the way to go. But this TTS12 is actually pretty sweet. Semi-automatic, 4+1. It comes with a standard length magazine limiter here, and it's basically set up for a 5-shot magazine tube. But we only have a 4-shot magazine tube on the TTS. So what you have to do, unless you plan on installing the +1 extension, they do make a +1 extension for the Titan, and I believe it also fits on the Hammer. But it will work on the TTS as well. So if you have the +1 extension, you don't need to cut anything. But if you're just going to run it plain Jane like me, you're going to want to take a shell and kind of hold it up to your rod and give it a little snip. The next thing, I had a couple of people ask how to install the magazine limiter. It's a fairly simple process. So you just unscrew this right here, and it literally just slides right down the middle of the mag spring, and then you screw this back on. Pretty simple. While I have this open, taking this rod out, we're going to take a look. Alright, so down here we have a snap ring. If you are going to install that +1 extension, you're going to have a pair of snap ring pliers, or you might be able to get in there with needle nose, but I'm really not sure. But you'll basically compress that, pull this out, and then you don't have to worry about it. You can set it aside and you'll just screw your +1 extension on, and that's pretty much all there is to the +1 extension. Let me try to get this thing screwed back on here. Now I don't have a trigger pull gauge, so I can't actually tell you the weight of the trigger. It is actually fairly light though. It's pretty surprising. If I was guessing, I mean, it's probably 3 pounds, maybe slightly under 3 pounds. It is a metal trigger, and it actually feels pretty good. I mean, I don't have any issues with this trigger at all. Alright. So the sight picture on this thing, if I can even get the camera. The next thing, I had some questions about how to install the charging handle, and I will say that is very difficult out of the box to get that charging handle installed. It does have a chamber flag in it, and it does stick out a little bit, but it's not really enough to grab onto to lock the thing back. So what I did originally was I took the charging handle and I slightly slotted it in, and I was able to pull it back enough to get it lined up. We've got two different pieces on the inside here, and they're kind of like this, and you have to get them lined up in order for that to fit in there. So anyway, it was actually kind of a pain in the butt doing it that way, and I've learned now that the way you're supposed to do it is get the thing locked to the back, and then this will pop in and out super easy. So now that's an issue when you first get it out of the box, okay, because you've got your little chamber flag in there, and that's the only thing that you have to grab a hold of. So that's why I have the screwdriver out. I want to show you guys that I guess the proper way to install the charging handle on this thing is going to be to jam a screwdriver down in here, get it to lock back, and then once it's locked back, it just slots right in. We'll go ahead and discuss reliability a little bit. I actually bought this shotgun expecting it to fail, and it didn't. It actually really surprised me. I started it off with 50 rounds of double-aught buck, and it ate that stuff no problem, which I really wasn't too concerned about it not running the double-aught buck. But I was concerned about, you know, bird shot, especially lower velocity stuff. And so I did grab a few boxes of lower velocity. I believe it was 1255 on one box and maybe 1190 on the other box. But surprisingly enough, it ate right through all those. I didn't have any malfunctions. I even attempted to run some mini shells through it. That was actually comical. It didn't eject the round. So I think if it would have ejected, I'm pretty sure it would have actually loaded the next one though. So, but that's the only malfunction that this thing has had, was just me doinking around with mini shells. So with regular buckshot and birdshot, at least the 2 3/4 stuff, it's ran just fine. Now a lot of people are going to be wondering about the recoil. Now I will say I have 2 other pump shotguns, and this being semi-automatic really does affect the recoil. It tames it a lot. Instead of a sharp punch to the shoulder, I feel like the semi-automatic is more of like a push, which is kind of nice, and it's enjoyable to shoot. I had a lot of fun with this thing, and I think it's going to be like the perfect shotgun for youth. If you're, say, teaching your kids to shoot foul or anything like that, or just to have around the farm and let your kids learn shooting random shit. I mean, this thing is a blast. I would say, none of my daughters have tried to shoot it or anything, but I don't think that they would really have that much trouble. And I think Tokarev designed this thing to be more of a home defense shotgun. It's very stripped down. It's not super short, but it's really not that long. And I believe that was what their intention was. You got the 4+1 capacity, and I mean, for a self-defense shotgun, this thing is pretty perfect in that respect. Let's just be honest. I have some 12 gauge pumps, and occasionally I'm susceptible to short stroking it. It happens.
That's what she said!
This takes that out of the equation. Semi-automatic, for me, is definitely the way to go because it's less to think about. As long as the thing's reliable and you've tested it for home defense, I would definitely say this is going to be the way to go. Under stress, you could short shuck, you could have any number of malfunctions, and this just kind of takes one step out of the equation. It kind of removes the human factor, if you will. It's very stripped down. There's no M-lock. I'm not so sure if you're going to be able to find a reliable 11mm to Picatinny rail for this. It's not going to be under a whole lot of recoil because this is the moving part, so it might be all right, but I don't know. I haven't tested it. I would assume if someone found the right spot, they could probably just drill and tap their own hole there in the receiver and then use the Tokarev mount system. That's neither here nor there. That's really about all the the negative that I can say about it. And I do have a recoil butt pad on here. This particular one is a keeper. I believe I got it on Amazon. It was pretty cheap. It came in like a 3-pack or a 2-pack for, I don't remember, 20 bucks, 30 bucks. It wasn't very much. I did have one commenter ask me if it felt cheap. Now, I don't necessarily think it feels cheap. It is fairly lightweight though, because of the polymer. It is a, polymer stock and polymer foregrip. But everything else on here is metal. I guess the trigger guard here, or trigger housing, is plastic, but the trigger itself is metal. And then everything else on this thing, on the receiver, is all metal. So, like, it is a little lightweight. I don't know how I would guess, and I'm not gonna pull a scale out of the house to find out, but it's not that much. So anyway, I guess if you were on the fence about getting this thing, for the price that I picked it up for, and I'm not sure what the Titan's running, but if you're somebody that's going to want to mount a flashlight or a red dot, I would say go with the Titan, especially if it's under, if it's under $2. This one was under $1.50. I'm not going to say the exact price, but you can shop around, and I think it'd be excellent for home defense or training your little ones, or just plinking around with. So that just about does it for the review of the Tokarev TTS12. Appreciate you stopping by. If you enjoy this type of content, like and subscribe, and have a nice weekend.